What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by the Real Estate Cheat Code. I have Jodi Reitz with us from Fathom Realty. Jodi, thanks so much for taking time to jump on here and share your real estate journey.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is exciting, and I look forward to diving deep.
Yeah, so we go back, I think you said 9 years. So it's really been that long, huh?
Yeah, almost. Well, let's see. September of 2014 is when I got licensed, and that's when I started at Cutler. So yeah,
Yeah,
9 years.
nine years. Wow. So I'm excited because we know each other a little bit. We've done some deals together throughout the years. But I really don't know your story and your journey. And we were talking a little bit beforehand, and you know, this podcast specifically is all about helping maybe people getting into the business or people that are struggling with the business, maybe earlier on in their careers, to show them that we all come from different walks of life. We all have different career paths to get to this moment. And we all do our business a little bit differently, right? To find our own success. So, Jodi, we always start out with the very beginning, all the way back to what was life like for you growing up?
So I grew up in Worthington, born and raised. Was first graduating class from Worthington Kilbourne. Won't say what year that was, but played soccer throughout my childhood. Um, Eventually went to Ohio State, and then did that for about 2 years and kind of took some time off, and eventually finished my bachelor's degree, and then got a master's, and then got my MBA. So
What did you have any hobbies or anything? I know you said soccer. Were you into sports? Were you into anything else?
as a kid, mostly just sports. My family actually was into like street rods growing
Okay.
up. So we spent a lot of weekends at car shows. But as far as hobbies, like I think I developed more hobbies as an adult than I did as a kid. Really big into hunting. Um, but yeah, so
Did
soccer and street rods.
did the car thing like wear off on you? Like, are you like a gearhead?
I am a car fanatic. Like I could have a new car every 3 to 6 months if if I could afford it. I think I have 4 or 5 vehicles right now. My dad was a firefighter, and so in his off time, he worked on cars. We never had a car. I know we never had a car more than 18 months. My whole childhood.
Yeah.
So
Do you know
I love.
Darcy Barton
I don't.
with Keller Williams? She's big into cars. Her family loves cars. So you guys would connect on that. My dad, uh, he tinkered with cars, bought and sold cars. It's always a running joke. Like even like campers, those types of things. A car's here, a car's there. They're coming and going. Look,
Mhm.
I know nothing about cars, so now I'm glad that I know someone, another person, to ask a question. Like I could take my car to get fixed, and they could tell me whatever. I'm like, okay, sure. Like, where do
And
I sign? Right?
yeah, I can change the oil. I can change a tire, change out a battery. Those things I
Yeah,
could probably do on my own. But
that's awesome. I'm jealous sometimes that people are into that because I absolutely have no clue. But so Jodi, you end up high school going into college. What did you focus on? Because obviously you have advanced degrees and
sure.
all of that. So what was the study?
So I started out in engineering actually at Ohio State, and realized very quickly that the math and science portion was a little above my head. So it kind of just transitioned into a business, direction. So my bachelor's is actually a bachelor of arts, and from Mount Vernon Nazarene University. And then my master's, which I kind of just I finished my bachelor's. I would say it probably took me a total of 6 years because I was kind of going part time, and then went straight into my master's, and then went straight into my MBA. And those are both in just business administration. Um, and kind of got into the medical field at that point. I had been working in physicians' offices and worked my way up to like office manager slash practice administrator positions, and was managing a really large primary care practice here in Columbus. And then I went to the dark side, as they say. I went into pharmaceutical sales. So that's where my sales background comes from. I did that for almost 10 years and then jumped into real estate. So I
What
left.
did you what did you enjoy about the pharmaceutical sales, if anything?
Um, it was fun. I feel like sometimes we were glorified caterers. We just brought food to the physicians' offices, but I had a pretty broad territory, and I was kind of a business specialist. The product that I sold was an infusion product, and a lot of physicians brought that infusion service into their office. So I helped them get set up and add revenue stream to their practice. So that was kind of fun because I really wasn't. I mean, I was trained on the pharmaceutical end of
Yeah.
things, but I really didn't have to like sell the product to the physician. I just had to sell the business model
Yeah.
to the office, usually the office administrator, who I was already in their shoes. So we usually hit it off pretty well and could make that work.
You knew the game, right? You already
I
knew
did.
how it works.
I did
It's
know
funny
the
because my wife is a psych nurse practitioner,
game. Okay.
and obviously when she got into that, I got to see how the medical world really operates with some of that stuff. I'm like, man, I'm doing it wrong over here in real estate. Like, I need to have all of these people, instead of bringing me money for like leads and systems, I need like free food. I need breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 7 days a week.
Some days in the primary care physician's office I worked in, we literally had somebody would bring breakfast, somebody would bring lunch, and somebody would bring an afternoon snack. Because there were, I think, 10 providers, 10 or 12 providers. So they were,
Yeah.
we were very popular with the pharmaceutical sales reps.
So
I
what
gained,
made you go
go
ahead?
ahead. I gained a lot of weight with that job because of all the food.
I know some days she's like, yeah, we had breakfast, and then they brought in some Olive Garden. I was like, man, bring me home the leftovers.
No doubt.
um, what made you get into real estate?
So I was working as a pharmaceutical sales rep, and they just kept expanding our territories, making them bigger and bigger and bigger. I had 3 or 4 states. My furthest account was 6 hours away, one way in the car, and just got burnt out.
Mhm.
Pay was great, benefits were great. My boyfriend and I, his name's Andy, we're still together. We started flipping houses. And at that time, the market, there were still a lot of foreclosed properties out there. And we kind of drew straws. And I got I got to go to real estate school. And in these, a lot of the houses were in Licking County, which I'm going to give a plug here, has Lincoln County has some of the highest radon levels in the country. So we were getting dinged, through the contract process inspections with having to put radon systems in. So he decided to go get certified to do radon testing and mitigation. And then they kind of go hand in hand. So I ended up helping him out a lot with that, but, got my real estate license and shockingly, and I think you actually helped me with this deal on my first contract. Within 30 days of getting my license, I actually had my first deal. So
Yeah.
that was exciting. That kind of,
Yeah.
got the bug at that point.
How many houses were you guys doing before it kind of started to make sense for you to kind of go get your license?
Actually, after the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did. I saw that commission check going out of the, settlement statement. And I was like, I think I can do this. So
Yeah.
we decided early on after the first one that, we weren't going to let that money slip away.
Yeah. It's interesting because in early, I still work with investors, but some of them I'm like, hey, like, you could just go get licensed and you could just do this yourself. And a lot of them just sort of like, I don't want to deal with the paperwork. I don't want to deal with, that side of it. So, Jodi, for you, switching over, going from, pharmaceutical sales and that world and being there for such a long time to then making that pivot into real estate. Um, did you have doubters? Did you have supporters when you made that switch? People think
No,
you're crazy?
I mean, I think some of the people that I used to work with were like, you're leaving like 6-figure pay, a free car, you're absolutely crazy. I said, yeah, but my mental sanity is very important.
Yeah.
um, but as far as supporters, I mean, like my family is very supportive. My sister had her real estate license for a while. Um, and obviously Andy supported me with that, helped me study. And I had kind of had a mentor, Angelina Fox Smith. I don't know if
Mhm.
you know her with
Mhm.
Coldwell Banker. She actually helped us with our selling our first flip. And she was a great resource for me and like helped me study for the test and whatnot. So overall, I really don't think, and even if there were naysayers, I wasn't paying attention to them. So
Yeah. When you got in, I know you said you had your first deal in the first, month or so, which is very uncommon, right? But
yes.
it's interesting because I talked to a lot of new agents getting in, and I just had this conversation on Monday. I said, "Hey, like you're only like 2 weeks left of class. Like you can start talking to people about real estate. You just can't talk, certain things like price and, those things, but you can let them know, hey guys, in a couple weeks, I'm going to be licensed. I'm going to be joining a team or a brokerage or whatever. And you can, for you, what did you focus on, that first year? Was it success, instant success? Was it struggles? What was that like for you?
Um, I focused on, I'm going to use that sphere of influence and mostly family and friends. Let them know I had my real estate license. And I think, even working with Cutler, we did Boomtown for a while. That was very helpful in getting like routines established and learning scripts and just kind of walking through the process. Even if you didn't get an actual buyer or seller, it prepared you for some rejection, I
Yeah.
guess. But really, most of my business is referral based. I don't spend money on leads. I don't really advertise. But I also make a lot of connections on the radon world too. So
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit of an advantage that
Well,
that I'm get both sides.
let me ask you this, and I don't know the answer to this. Did you
Sure.
tap into your former career and that SOI at all?
I did not, if you can believe that. I walked away. Like I literally like said,
Like, I don't
done.
like any of these people. No, just kidding.
Well, I had some life-changing events happen that
Sure.
also kind of led to a career change, divorce, like crazy stuff. And um, I just started over.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it. But I just had the light bulb just went off. I literally started over at
Well, yeah,
40.
what I find when I talk to agents, right? Because typically real estate is someone's doing typically different jobs or careers before real estate. It's usually not their first choice. And I think sometimes a lot of agents struggle with that transition period of uh, not just like reaching out to people, but the identity that their previous life, how they view them, right? Like they view them in their former career not as the new real estate agent.
Right.
So I'm always curious when agents transition, especially after coming from a career that they've been at a while. How did that transition work, and did it work in their favor towards real estate? But it sounds like for you, the best thing possible was just a clean slate. A new Jodi.
It pretty much. I guess, like I said, I never really thought about it, but yeah, and I would say the first 6 months of real estate were a little iffy,
Sure.
just because your income stream is not steady. Luckily, the flipping part, we were still doing that, so I had income coming in from that. But that still, takes 3 6 months to turn a house over,
Yeah.
unless it's just, paint and carpet. Um,
And back
but
then
I
they were sitting longer.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Um, it was a challenge, but I read all those statistics. So most real estate agents don't last the first 3 years, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be one of those statistics. Like, you just keep at it. It's one of those things like you can't just give up on it 6 months, 1 year in. You gotta keep telling people that you're an agent, and like you find out your friend listed a house without you, and you're like, seriously, like. I mean, I must have told you 5,000 times that I sell real estate. So that kind of stuff happens, but you just have to, you have to be persistent.
How did you go about letting your sphere of influence know? I mean, did you follow a certain follow-up plan, or are you just one that's more, natural and making sure that you're, anytime you get that face-to-face opportunity that you're letting them know?
I did a little bit of both. Like, I know I sent out some, like, I just got my real estate license letters or something like that to friends and family. But, this is funny. Like, I took a 10-year hiatus off Facebook. I literally just got back on Facebook last year. So at the beginning of my real estate career, I was on Facebook. I think that was helpful. But just, spreading the word every time you talk to somebody, oh, by the way, I left pharmaceuticals and I'm now doing real estate. So just keeping it top of mind and not being afraid to pass out a card or wear something. No, I shouldn't. I've got my radon shirt on today.
It's all
Um,
right.
but, wear some branded gear. You'd be surprised. So I actually had my name tag on upside down one time. It had flipped over in the car from the seat belt. It was one of those magnetic ones, and I was in the grocery store, and it was like the best conversation starter about real estate because I
Oh
had
yeah,
my name tag on upside down. So, you
that's
know,
funny.
you
That's
might try
funny.
it intentionally.
Well, I'm glad that I was able to connect with you over Facebook to then get you to come, onto the podcast here.
Yeah,
And you bring up an interesting point. I tell agents this all the time. I don't believe you have to focus on real estate in order to be successful in this business. I do believe that there has to be some sort of online social media component just to stay top of mind, right?
sure.
But it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be your main thing, like a lot of people in today's world are trying to make it to be. For you, how obviously it didn't probably affect your business in a negative way because you're still here selling real
Mhm.
estate, but
Right.
did you see a drop off, or did how did you stay top of mind in other ways then?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't really think it dropped off at all. And what's weird is like, so I think my business has changed a lot over the last couple years. I used to do a lot of seller listings.
Hmm,
Now I'm probably, doing things more on the buy side, um, which is, a lot harder in this
really?
market. Oh, really? Like we didn't know that, right? Um, so that's been a little bit of a learning curve for me, and I did see a downswing in my business. I would say 2 years ago. I think I only did like 2 transactions in a
Mm,
year. Um, but at the same time, the radon stuff was like crazy busy during the pandemic, so
yeah,
it worked out well for me. Um, I really I don't have a good answer for you to tell you the truth. I thank the fact that I have really good friends and that have been very loyal and referring me to their friends and family members and have trusted me to do that. My sister's now into flipping, so that is another way that I've gained some business there, and um, a lot of stuff on Facebook recently. Like, you just post something and somebody shares it and like, oh yeah, I live in Grandma. I'm thinking about selling my house. And actually Fathom is a pretty good referral. They actually have a Facebook page
mhm,
where if there's other agents in the country looking for, somebody to help their family or family member or friend out. And I've grabbed some great referrals from that. And I don't mind throwing them a little bone back.
yeah,
And it's actually, a couple times there's been more than one transaction that has evolved from it. So,
yeah.
uh,
Was the listing side focus intentional?
no, just happened.
Just
It's not
happened that
intentional.
way.
Yeah, everybody's like,
Yeah,
my house is too small, or we want to move out to the country, or whatnot. So,
yeah. And the radon side of the business, that was kind of at the same time of everything, right?
Yeah, actually, they went pretty much hand in hand. I think I got my license for real estate in September of 14, and then Andy got his. He started the radon business in November of 14.
Okay.
So they were really one right after the other, and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, you definitely started at the right time with that, because obviously, as the years went on, right on, it's just more now a thing, a common thing, and back then it was like the new thing, it was
right,
like, oh, make sure you test for it. And now it's like surprising if a house doesn't have it already in place,
right, yeah, yeah.
No, that's awesome. So I want to kind of move, you know, your business has mostly been SOI, radon, is side by side with that. Um, what's something that you're looking here to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Well, I would love to grow my business, significantly in the next 12 months. I think just do a better job of promoting myself and, being a little more active on social media. And it's so easy to get lazy. And it's like, oh, just gotta like some things on Facebook and somebody will notice, and then my phone will magically ring, right? Well, it doesn't happen that way. So I need to be better. I need to get back kind of on task and do a little bit more, probably networking and self promotion, I think. But I don't think you can ever really do enough of that, to tell you the truth.
Well, as small business, like they don't teach you that kind of stuff in school, right?
No.
Like I was just talking to an agent earlier, and it was around that same thing. Like he's like, my first deal, I didn't even know what a request a remedy was. I said, none of us did. They don't teach you the business side of things in real estate school. They don't teach you how to stay top of mind and to get out in front of your sphere, or how to go do internet lead generation or open houses or anything like that.
Mhm.
So the one thing I did want to ask you, obviously you said you want to grow your business, and how are you navigating those waters of running two companies at the same time?
It could be tricky. I guess the nice thing is we're a pretty small operation on the radon side. There's just three of us, so I do all the scheduling, so I kind of have control of my day, and I can work real estate into it very easily. So that has been a huge advantage for me by doing two roles, having two jobs, that I have the luxury of kind of stopping what I'm doing, go show a house, I can write a contract quickly on my computer.
Yeah.
It's not one of those things that, oh, I have to wait till after 5 o'clock to go show a house. If I can make it work now, let's make it work now. So that has been very easy. I would say the hardest thing is like keeping it all on track and not letting stuff slip through the cracks. I like forgetting to put a mitigation on the schedule because you got, wound up over a offer getting, accepted. So there's been a few hiccups along the way, but all in all, it's actually worked out great to be doing these two things at the same time.
Yeah. The balance back and forth. I mean, even just not running a business, right? Whether you're transitioning into it from another career, or you're a team lead but still in production, and
Mhm.
starting to, I just find that interesting of how other people really manage that time, and
I
commitment for both.
Yeah, the calendar is my best friend. If I don't put it in the calendar, number one, I forget about it because like my brain is already 20 steps ahead. Um, and I use the calendar. It has my radon stuff and my real estate stuff on it. So I just use my Google Calendar, and um, it's very easy to use, and I think that has helped me significantly.
Let me ask you this: is there one thing, or maybe several things that you brought to your real estate business that you utilized in your former career? A skill set, a sales process.
Um, I'm a very direct person, sometimes too direct, I think. Um, I,
Well,
if
I I think, and I don't know, but I'm assuming you probably had to be a little bit in your former career, right?
yeah,
Because you had to get through the gatekeepers, right?
exactly. Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, you had to bring them, Cheryl's cookies and whatnot to get on the schedule and that kind of thing. But I think just no BS. Like, I'm
Mm.
very upfront and transparent with my real estate clients. Like, if we go into a house and they might have fallen in love with the pretty decor and the staging, but it needs a roof and it needs all the mechanicals and the walls are falling in the basement. Like, I can't, you know, I can't sleep at night if I would let somebody buy something that I didn't think was the right thing to do. So I think I'm very just upfront and sometimes too honest.
Oh,
But I think it's also helped me be successful.
I was going to ask you, what are your clients' initial thoughts or reactions to that?
At first, I think they're a little shocked, but when after that whole, like, the excitement of finding the one,
Yeah.
if they think that that house is the one, kind of walking them through why I've said what I've said or maybe have the opinion that I have. The flipping houses thing has given me a huge insight to the construction world, all of the trades. The radon stuff is also on the same page because we're plumbers, we're electricians, we're carpenters, we run the gamut. And there's lots of situations that I have to be aware of when I go into a house to design a radon mitigation system that helps me out on the real estate side, because you see some crazy stuff, right? Homeowner specials, as I call them.
Yeah.
So once they kind of calm down a little bit, maybe sleep on it, they understand why I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm really trying to protect them. And
Hmm.
then usually it gets backed up by a home inspection. So that I think that's just reassuring to them that, oh, she really does know what she's doing. She's pointing us in the right direction.
Well, you're showing your area of expertise, right?
Mhm.
And the reason I ask you that is because I feel like a lot of agents kind of struggle with that sometimes, right? Like they don't want to necessarily state their full opinion
Mhm.
on X, Y, and Z, right? We're just real estate agents. I'm not an HVAC person, right? Or I'm not a roofer. And I think sometimes agents struggle with that conversation, the hard conversation. And I always tell people, like, look, my job is not to get you into contract. My job is to make sure when we're in, to get you into contract that we actually get to the closing table.
Right.
So, if I can pick out some of these things that I know are going to be potential issues, deal breakers, causes of concerns at our showing,
Mhm.
then let's stop and have that conversation now. So that way, 2 weeks in, six, seven, $800 later on
Right.
inspections and appraisals, that you're not mad.
Right. And I think at first when I was an agent, you don't want to scare people, like you're so worried about getting a signed offer that you don't want to be 100%. You're like, oh my God, well, I'm afraid I might lose this buyer or whatnot if I don't just go along with how they feel. And
Yeah.
that's not always the right thing to do. I
Yeah.
want somebody to have a good, solid home. And, unless they're gonna, tear the walls down and rehab the whole place, that's a whole different situation. But I want them to have a good house.
Yeah. And honestly, you probably get a lot of referrals just from that, like being direct, being straight to the point, knowing your stuff. Like I
Yeah.
said, that's your area of expertise.
Yeah, I think so.
Jodi, what's a 5-year goal for you?
I've kind of thought about, like, the whole broker thing. I don't know if I have the patience for that. Um, I actually thought about becoming a district director with Fathom, and maybe in 5 years. I'm actually really good friends with our district director here. I don't, Emily Page.
Hmm.
She and I went to real estate school together. We went to Cutler together. Finally got her to come over to the Fathom side after a few years, and it's nice. We have a really close relationship. We bounce stuff off of each other, and can you believe this? We do probably once a week have one of those conversations. But I could see myself transitioning into that role. Um, a little older now, approaching that big 50 next year. So I don't know how long radon thing, we kind of have a 5-year-ish plan. We purchased a condo in Aruba in
Okay.
February, and real estate helped me with that. Although the real estate process in Aruba is a little bit different than it is here in Ohio, a little bit slower pace.
What
But
was it like? What was that like? I'm curious. I'm always curious to learn from other markets, how they do things.
it actually wasn't too bad. Like you have to go through this like pre-screen process, and they want to make sure that you are not going to be a burden on their economy.
Hmm.
So it's almost like a background check kind of thing before you can even put the offer in on the house. And that takes, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe. And then we did a cash purchase, so it was easy. I didn't have to navigate the
Yeah.
mortgage industry in Aruba. I really don't know much about it, but it was a good 60 days from the time we put the offer in on the place till we actually closed. It was very easy. Everything we did over the internet. And I think I'm trying to remember in February, I literally I wired all the funds and they overcharged me. So I went to the title. They don't call them title companies there. They're called notaries. And they had my money for me and my keys and my deed, and off I went. So we are now proud owners of a property in a foreign country, but it's awesome. I wouldn't change it for the world. But the plan is to be there eventually 6 months out of the year,
Yeah.
hopefully within the next 5 years. So, and who knows, maybe I'll get my real estate license in Aruba, and
There you go.
so the property values down there
HGTV,
are
here we come.
insane. Pardon
H-
me?
HGTV, here we come. Beachfront bargains, right?
Heck yeah. I actually just saw an Aruba commercial on Sunday. I was like, wow, I hadn't seen one of those yet on TV. So
Are you doing any Airbnbs with it or no?
a little bit, mostly just to friends and family.
Yeah.
Not really into letting strangers destroy my what might be my future home for 6 months out of the year. But yeah, our plan is to go down at least 4 times a year, so once a quarter.
Yeah.
I think this year we might exceed that a little bit, trying to
That's
go as
awesome.
much as we can. But that's another thing I think real estate agents forget to do is take vacation, even though we might not really be on vacation.
Yeah.
I still have to answer the radon phone when I'm in Aruba. Otherwise, appointments don't get put on the calendar and we make no money. But you have to take some time for yourself once in a while. Somebody
Yeah.
else can help you out. I mean, Emily and I are constantly showing houses for each other. If I've got somebody in Zanesville, or she has somebody in Zanesville that wants to see a house, I'll go handle that for her. Vice versa, Plain City. She'll handle that for me. So I think it's really important to have a colleague to talk to and help you out when you're in a jam, or even cover for you while on vacation.
Yeah.
Can't do it all the time.
Yeah. Jody, what's a legacy goal for you? What's something that
Legacy.
you're looking to hit when you're no longer here?
Oh goodness, a legacy goal. That's big. Um,
I asked this question because I feel like it's one. A lot of people ask the 1 year, right? The 5 year, the 10 year. Hey, what's your 15 year? But no one really asks like for me, like what's that North Star? Like what's that thing that you're going after?
I mean, like to retire, not have to work until I'm 80, which, I can still do real estate,
Yeah,
that would be a big deal.
yeah,
As far as legacy stuff, like we're big animal supporters. We have 2 dogs. I am like the person that cries when the ASPCA commercials come
yeah,
on.
yeah,
So it's like, as far as leaving a legacy, like if I had leftover money, I would love to do something that would support, um, you know, shelter animals, that kind of thing. So what I would really love is to have a kennel, not even a kennel. Let's not call it a kennel. I'd love to be the sanctuary
yeah,
where all the dogs that nobody wants could come. Um, I would never be able to part with any of them, and it would be a sad day when they made it over the rainbow bridge. But that's probably my ultimate dream, would be to have just this place where all the dogs, not yeah, probably just dogs, could live out the rest of their life in the best case scenario.
It's in Aruba, right? It's got to be in
Oh,
Aruba.
well, in Aruba, they have a huge, I don't homeless dog population. I don't know what else to call it. People just aren't very aware of the need to like have food and water for your
Yeah.
animals. And so um, we kind of adopted this dog when we were down there last November. And her name is Patricia, and we go see her every time we go down. And we donate to one of the foundations down there on a regular basis just to help them out, because they've got like over 100 dogs they feed on a daily basis that are
Wow.
street dogs. So yeah, I think that's probably my big passion. I could do something along those lines as far as legacy goes.
That's awesome. I got one last question for you.
Okay.
If you could give our audience one piece of advice that maybe you received in the beginning of your career, one that maybe you give if someone asks you about real estate, um, you know, what's that one piece of advice that you typically give out?
I would say I made a huge um I took a huge leap of faith by leaving the pharmaceutical world and going into real estate. Um, I understand not everybody might be that lucky, but I think really getting a good support structure um, to help you with referrals and things like that, and just get your name top of mind and don't give up in the first year of real estate. It can be tough. I mean, I felt it too. I was lucky enough to get that first transaction in the first 30 days, but the next one didn't come for quite some time after that. You have to be a little bit patient. Um, and communication on real estate, like both sides. We can't, it's very difficult to do a transaction when one half of the transaction doesn't answer the phone or text. You really have to stay on top of stuff and communicate. I think communication is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah. Jodi, it's been great to catch up with you. It's been great to learn a little bit about your journey. I appreciate you jumping on today and sharing with us. Those that are watching, her phone number is down below. Her website is down below. If you're thinking about buying, selling, investing in real estate, please reach out to her. If you guys are in the business and you want to just pick her brain on, maybe radon, or want to learn a little bit more about that, or use them, as a partner of yours. Make sure that you guys please reach out to Jodi. But Jodi, for those that are listening in on maybe the audio side of things, what is the best way for someone to connect with you?
Feel free to text me, call me on my cell phone. It's 614-915-8974. And I'd be happy to help out with any questions, radon or real estate.
Jodi, I loved it. Thanks so much for your time today. And as always, I know it's been a little while since we connected, but as always, if you need anything from me, I'm here to help you any way I can.
Thanks, Jonathan. This has been great.
All right, I'll talk to you here soon.
Have a good one.
See ya.